One of the adjustments that we're making that we're going to be talking a lot about, obviously, I alluded to it just a couple minutes ago, is 10K. Building a team that can do 10 sales a month. That is the first building block. I'm going to be a broken record this year. Our trainers are going to be a broken record this year talking about this. Everything that you're doing is to build your brokerage, your agency, your personal inventory of people to call, appointments, skills, closing, presenting, all that stuff, so you can at least get to 10K. 10K, you can make money. 10K, you can quit your job. 10K, you're attractive. 10K, you've established that you can build the foundational piece of our business. And then then you can duplicate what you're doing. And then once you duplicate that once or twice, you're a broker. Okay. One thing, Mike Sharp, I heard, Mike Sharp is in the history of the company, the greatest builder in the history of this company. He said, what is work in this business? Work in this business is doing appointments and setting appointments. So one thing our trainers are doing is, we're really focusing on the fundamentals and setting appointments and tracking the number of appointments we're doing, how to set these appointments, how to overcome the objections, how to get to that qualified meeting. If you're doing it in person, which I know some people are still doing some, and it's appropriate, awesome, and the client wants to meet and you're safe or whatever it is, great. Or if you're doing it virtual, most of the appointments that we're doing are virtual now. And then that could maybe turn into a face-to-face meeting. But you got to become a pro at setting appointments. You got to be great at it, okay? And for me, I always did appointments if I had appointments. If I didn't have appointments, that's where I got lost in my own head. I get distracted. I was doing stupid stuff. I was getting negative. I was not connected to the business. And I'm going to say it again here, right? Our training it starts tomorrow at 9:30. It ends at about 10:45, 10:50, 10:55, 11 o'clock at the latest, everybody ends. And then every Saturday we do half an hour appointment setting blitz. It's just 30 minutes. So you can see the other people making phone calls to set up your week. If you don't set any appointments, you're not going to have any appointments. And if you don't have any appointments, you're going to get negative. The doubt and fear is going to creep in. And I know I don't have people to call. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. Okay. I called the same people every single week for months. It felt like an eternity. But I'd add to that list and I talked to people. And when I'd see people, I knew, because on Sunday night, our RVP, my RVP, his name was Mark. We had to come back to the office on Sunday night. I was young, right? I mean, I love watching football. I'm like Peter. I like gambling on football. And so I would make and lose money every weekend. Those games were very important. They were life or death for me. Okay. Sunday night, that was the night I had to win. But I went to the office and we would get our little referral cards out. We had them on blue cards and blue sheets, and I would call and it felt like I had, it's so uncomfortable to call the same 11 people and call and try to set up referrals. But you know what it made me do? I knew I was going to show up on Sunday. I knew that other people would be there. I knew I had to pick up the phone and call because we all were doing it community, doing it together, having some accountability. And I knew I wanted to lead from the front. I knew it would be easier to say, oh, you know what? I got a lot of stuff going on, Mark. I can't show up. But that was weak. That was fear. That was me cowering because I didn't have anything going on. Nothing more important than setting appointments for the week. As uncomfortable as it made me feel, but I did it. And I did it every single week until I actually got good at it. And I started setting appointments. And you know what? This is what I realized. My RVP at that time, he made $200,000 a year. And he was there every Sunday. And he was setting appointments. Because he would do 5 to 10 sales a month himself. And I was like, man, this guy makes 200. At that time, I was making $35,000 a year. I told you, if I ever met somebody that made 150 or 200, they were a god to me. This guy's 200,000. I can see him working. And before when the gyms were open, I used to tell you this story about my son. My son likes, I put him in boxing, and that's one of the sports he likes. He likes to box. He likes to just be in the gym, jumping rope, hitting the pads, and he's learning, getting better. And it's weird. This gym is like an old school boxing gym where it's just like everybody's there, and you work with an individual coach. They have a kids class, a youth class, but they have like fighters there, man. Fighters that come from, and they're good. These are semi-pro fighters. These are professional fighters. A couple of them have professional fights. I mean, they look crazy. And I was like, it's a little, why would you, my son at that time, he was 9, why are you putting my son in the ring? And, the kids class is on one side of the ring, the other side, a pro fighter is just going crazy. And they go, no, it's really important. He's like, we have whatever they have. We have 3 golden gloves in here. We have 2 semi-pro fighters and 1 professional fighter. And it's really important for everybody in the gym to see how these people work. See how they practice, see their intensity, see their technique, see how they receive the coaching, because all of them have a coach. They have a conditioning coach. They have a pad coach, all of it. And I was like, wow, I'm glad that I brought that up, because now I know. It's funny. Every week, the person that's doing Top Gun, that wins Top Gun, is on there setting appointments. I know it's annoying. Trust me, I really do. I get it more than anybody. I know it's so easy to just, oh man, you know what? I'll do it later. And you never do. Then you play gymnastics with yourself mentally. I'll set the appointments. I'll do it later. I don't do it. I do that stuff with a lot of other stuff. But this stuff is actually critical. It's vital, because I know, and we used to do that at our Sunday nights. People would come to the office, we'd set appointments, and there'd always be this guy. He'd say, hey, listen, man, it's just too loud in here. I'm going to go make appointments in my phone, in my car. They never set appointments. Sometimes they just leave. You call them, hey, what happened? Oh, yeah, I got a call, man. Sorry, And then they never set appointments, and then eventually they fade away. Why? Because they never were getting themselves to do the things they needed to do when they needed to do it. You can continue the same habits, but you're going to get the same results. If you want to make changes in 2021, you got to make the changes. Only for a period of time. Then you get all the goodies. Just 30 minutes. I mean, one sitcom, one little show on Netflix, just 30 minutes. And then, yes, if you have more appointments, you can set them, or, whatever you do. So, buy into the setting appointments, with your team, buy into tracking appointments, buy into checking in with how many appointments, you do. Like I said, I was talking to a couple people. I said this last week too. Your initial goal is to just try to get on 1 appointment a week. If you're part-time, if you're part spare time, and then if you're trying to be full-time, get in front of somebody every day. Okay. Get in front of somebody every day, qualified, telling your story, telling the company story, and trying to sell some products. Okay. Now, and I talked about this a little bit on my virtual office, and this is very appropriate for my base shop. And I'm going to, talk about it with everybody, because like I said, this training is really, you get an inside look at how I talk to my base shop. Okay. All right. I had 2 conversations. So, I do I call a lot of people. I call resumes. I call people during my virtual office that we run pretty much 4 days a week consistently for an hour. And, we find people that are looking for work. And I've actually, one agent that we've hired is, he's on our team now. His name is Jacques. He works with Robert and Robert Kane, and, he already came in licensed. And then another person that I spoke to this week, this young lady was super sharp, college student working at a warehouse for Amazon. And she also had an insurance license, and same with Jacques. And they we're part of companies that give leads. Okay. And, I want to explain a little bit about this because I'm very, honestly, I'm very intrigued by this. I've done some things like this in the past. It's never worked. But I've learned, I've gotten a little bit more information from people, and I've interviewed people like Jacques, who, is a friend of mine. And we've talked a lot about this, and especially when he was thinking about coming on board. And there's a lot of leads. A couple leads are this, right? Some people, they give leads that you have to go meet in person. Jacques was one of those, and same with this girl that I spoke to this week. And so they give you the lead. So they give you a list of addresses and things like that, and you have to go and you just knock on their door, and you say, "Hey, listen, you made an inquiry maybe online, or you're an existing client of Farmers Insurance, and I'm here to discuss insurance," right? A lot of other leads they give you a list of 50 phone numbers or 20 or 30 phone numbers, and you call them because they filled out something online or they did an online quote, and then that website captured their data and sold it to several different insurance companies, and then you call. Okay. Obviously, this is expensive. Okay. And the girl I talked to, she's been with 2 companies. They don't provide leads. They have a lead system. The agent has to pay for it. So I asked her how much she paid. And she said, sometimes they provided leads. Sometimes they provide leads, but those leads are pretty crappy, right? They don't work. There's no conversion. The good leads, she goes, for 30 leads, it costs about $600. Okay, so for 30 numbers, you get $600. You have to pay. And she's like, but many times I did that, I would make $3,000. Okay. So, and I talked about this at my virtual office yesterday, right? And Christian David, he used to always say this to me when I was coming up in the business. He'd always say, hey, if you give me $2 and I give you 10, is that a good deal? And I always be like, what's the trick? What's the trick? What's the trick? What do you mean? I go, yeah, it's a good deal. He goes, exactly. Always have that mentality. Invest in yourself. Sometimes it's good to invest. You buy a book for $14, but it changes your philosophy and your thinking. That in turn could pay you thousands of dollars. You invest 30 minutes in or 45 minutes, an hour in training, that can make, so sometimes though you have to invest monetarily to get a return on that investment. And some investments are good. So I didn't think this person was stupid. For this agent that was a college student investing $600, making $3,000. I didn't think that this person was not smart. I thought, okay. And she goes, but my broker, my sales manager, he'd only give me the leads so often, and then I think he was keeping the good leads to himself. And then he sold me a different package of leads, and those leads didn't convert as well. And he's like, she was like, yeah, this is what she was telling me. She's like, he'd say, okay, hey, look, I'm going to sell you these leads. I'm going to get these leads for you. You have to buy them. They're $600, but these are already existing insurance clients. And so she'd call the leads, and these people didn't have any insurance. So she felt there was some dishonesty there, and so she was like, and then some of the leads were door-to-door, face-to-face leads, and those never converted. And I talked to Jacques, and he said that as well wasn't really a good conversion. And so I started thinking about it, and I was really infatuated by this. I was like, hey, you know what? It'll get people busy. If people are in my base shop, if we can get some leads going and maybe do 10,000, get a couple legs doing 10,000. And, and I said this, and you can post to the chat, there is a really good quality of calling leads. And one is you get really good on the phone. You get great at actually selling on the phone. So for those of you guys, and I know I have some new people in here, don't worry about this, okay? You're not going to have to do this, okay? One, it's not socially distant. And two, You just don't have to. Our system is much better. But I do want to give you a little history of how I learned the business, okay? Because, so you guys know just a little bit about me, right? So my RVP, he used to knock on doors. That's how he did his business. So he taught me what he knew. And I hated knocking on doors. I could not stand it. It was the worst, right? I'm from Northern Virginia. It's a pretty uppity, bougie area. I mean, we look down on people that hustle. I never do that. When people come to my door, I don't invite them in, but I'm very nice, very cordial. I always do business if I need it because I did that. So if people come from home security or pest control or windows, I always listen to them. I always try to recruit them. If I need to do, because I did this for 3 years. Because my RVP said, look, you got to do it. It'll get you really good. And I was like, man, he's like, it'll toughen you up. And I did it. And a lot of you guys were, not a lot, but many of you that were with me back then, I did it with you. We would do it together. We do the neighborhoods. I get these surveys and I go and I knock on someone's door and say, hey, can you do a quick 60-second survey? And I ask them a couple questions about Social Security and retirement and insurance. And he was right. It got me really good at having client conversations, being quick-witted, understanding the product, seeing a hole in it. And in no way am I recommending you do this. But it did get me really good. I would carry my little F&A binder, and I'd have all the products and I'd hand out brochures and give out my business cards. And a lot of stuff happened. Number one, it gave me a great work ethic. Number two, I met a lot of existing Primerica clients and they increased their policies, or I became their agent, or they said, I haven't talked to my agent in years. I haven't seen him in years, seen her in years. And, so it just overwhelmed me with skill and experience. And now, where I am now, would I ever do it again? Well, if I got desperate enough, I would do anything. Always remember that. And I don't mean that like in a sick way. I'm saying I'll do anything to provide for my family or not work a job. So nothing is beneath me. I'm not at that point right now, but I would. But I got amazing dealing with the clients. And it also taught me to get referrals. It taught me to get referrals from my new recruits so we could go on appointments, and from my existing clients. So I thought I saw a lot of benefits from potentially buying leads for people within that are looking for insurance. And I thought about this, and I've inquired many times, and I said, and I wouldn't pay for it. Okay. I would not provide the leads for anybody, because then people get dependent. They won't call them. I would. But like, say I talked to Jen and I said, Jen, do you want to do this? And Jen, I'd say, Jen, you got to do it. Just like you can do it. You can do it directly. If you want to do it, if you think, and I would talk, or say I talk to, someone else, and in my base shop, and I say, hey, Tia, if you want to do this, you got to pay $600, but you have people to call, and I do that, right? We do certain things like that. Like we might subscribe to some resume services, and I say, hi, if you want to chip in, you got to do it, because I'm not going to pay for you, right? And you're not going to get, nothing's going to work. You're not going to do, you're just going to, not do it. And then I pay for it. Then I'm going to be mad at you. No, you do it, use it, and get a return on it. And then I really thought about this, and I said, I'm really contemplating having some of my agents spend $500 or $600 for leads, which I don't think is a bad thing. But then I thought, and I said, why aren't we getting referrals? Why aren't we getting introductions? Now, our business, as a hierarchy, we do over 100 clients a month. And if you include investment clients, it's like 130 to 150 clients a month. That means clients have given their Social Security number. Clients have given their account number and routing number. Clients have given their medical history. Yeah, I take this prescription med. Yes, I had a DUI. Yes, I had this. Yeah, I had a charge, but it wasn't me, man. They ran up on me, man. It wasn't me, I mean, they tell us that. They tell us that personal information. And we gave them an animated, life-changing presentation. And we don't get introductions. We don't get warm referrals. I know people in this business, Gurpreet Singh. She has thousands of referrals waiting to call. She just can't call. And I'm thinking, like, what will we rather do? We'd rather cold prospect, call, even a lead. It's still cold. They still don't know you. I mean, this is the Friday meeting. I don't like prospecting. I don't like calling strangers. I'll do it. I don't like doing it. I'd much rather call somebody I know, somebody that's expecting, somebody that knows somebody that I know. Call my client, get another referral. And I started thinking about it. I was like, man, I'm an idiot. I've gotten so comfortable here. And I get it. I don't want to mess up the sale, so I just get out of there as quickly as possible, right? I have a lot of big clients, right? I have a lot of big clients. 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, 150,000, These clients trust me with their retirement savings. I'm not getting a referral from them because I'm worried about the sale. And yes, I have to get better. I have to do better. And I still will do different forms of prospecting, but we got to open it up, man. We got to get better. This is an adjustment we got to do really well. And we just got to improve. And I'm looking at the numbers because, if we're doing like I'm talking about my base shop. Okay. I'm not talking about anybody else, but if the shoe fits, wear it. If we're doing in my base shop 30 to 50 sales a month, how are we not having 150, 200, 250 referrals a month? Some referrals, we see it on the chat, they give 21, they give 15 referrals. Some will give 3, but we have to do a good job. You deliver the policy, you get a referral. You cross-sell, you get a referral. You get a recruit referral. You always lead, get somebody to get you to somebody else, and you always, swim up the river, connecting the dots. And yes, you got to have a lot of credibility to get a referral, because if you botch it, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, they're not going to give you a referral, and you won't even feel worthy of getting a referral. You got to provide a lot of value to get referrals. But more importantly, you have to have a system, right? And so I know we have several good trainers that are good at getting referrals. Nobody is great, okay? But we have many that are good. And when I say nobody's great, that is a challenge to everybody to become great. A 10 out of 10, an all pro, where you're in a warm market. On Saturday morning, you have 100, 150 referrals to call. And I did this. It's so stupid. I can't believe I did this when I was building my base shop. We'd always meet. We'd have referrals. We'd have people to call. I'd always get a referral from almost every client. And I fell asleep at the wheel. I really nodded at the wheel, man. I feel very responsible here. And it's just something we have to do a much better job of. And there's different types of referrals, beneficiary referrals, there's referrals, there's emergency contacts, there's recruit referrals, there's you hire somebody and you get, it's a 3-way text and you have referrals to call, right? And I'm going to talk about a couple things that just my mentality when I had it. We used to send the letters out, right, which was the most inefficient, stupid system in the world. We'd we'd have the client send out a letter and they'd write it, or we'd write it from the PS and we'd send it in the mail, and they'd, we didn't receive the mail, or we didn't get it. What are you talking about? But now we can do it through a text. And I think you should always have an introduction with a text. Okay. And one of my trainers, I don't know who will do it. I'll talk with some of them tonight. One of the trainers will do a referral training tomorrow, a referral literally boot camp. And I know I remember Shay did one on creating following the money trail. You can go back and watch that. We will continue to do these. One thing you're going to see a lot of setting appointments and referrals. Okay. You're going to see a lot of that. And because you got to get in that frame of mind for calling for appointments and learning how to overcome those objections and getting those appointments. Okay. It's a lot different than a recruiting steam call. A lot different. So the text, if I sit down with Richard and Richard's introducing me to his son and his son is married and has kids, and he says, hey, sit down with Shaq. He just reviewed my finances and made a huge impact. That text sets the tone. So you have to have an introduction from the third party. And that's what it is. It's introduction. They're not going to dig you in a hole. They're not going to say you're God, but they're going to say some nice things about you, the value that you provided, and all you want from a referral. And because you're going to have these conversations with people. When people don't want to give you referrals, it's a different close. And you got to understand the psychology and the mentality behind it. All I wanted was an opportunity to meet with them. Okay. That's all I want. That's why you got to treat your clients really good. Now you got to close them. You got to be firm, but you got to be nice. You got to be sweet. You got to be polite. You got to be professional. You got to be pleasant, because if they have those feelings from you, they're going to give you referrals. But my mentality, I just want to meet with them. I'm not going to, when people say something, I'm asking Richard for referrals, and Richard said, oh, they wouldn't be. No. Totally. I know that they, I think they already have insurance. No, absolutely. I just want an opportunity just to meet with them. I'm just going to provide them a second opinion. And I would give them stories and introductions, or not introductions. I would just kind of introduce them to concepts. Yeah, I was able to, and I was able to point out and address some of the loopholes their current agent company did not discuss. Some clients have not seen or spoken to their agent in years. I remember that you said that to me, Richard. That was one of that's why you decided to become one of our clients. Because then they're starting to think, yeah, that's true. I had insurance, but I haven't talked to my agent, or, you saved me money. You got me out of this cash value. I just had group. I didn't know how this worked. If they're your client, they believe in you. They've trusted you with their hard-earned money, their kids' college, their retirement, their private information. They've elected to go on a financial journey with you. Yeah, I can invest $100 a month. Yes, I want this. I want to do this. Yeah, I need to protect my family. They've never had a bill before. And now you did everything right. And now they're spending $50 a month to protect their family. You did a fantastic job. And I tell them, some clients switch, some don't. But my mission was to provide a level of value they had not experienced, just like I did with you. And I say that. I get an affirmation right there. My goal is to become a resource center so they can get clear, so they can get information and a clear understanding. And I always want you to know there's just absolutely no obligation. Tomorrow, whoever decides to go through this will go through exactly where you drop the seeds and exactly what you say and how to text. And, but this just has to become at the forefront of everything that we do. Or you can spend $600 for 30 leads, 20 to 30. Or you can bite the bullet and get great at referrals and learn how to ask and learn how to drop seats. And trust me, I really do. I don't want to jeopardize the sale. So you get out of there. That's the wrong thinking. It's the wrong mentality. You know, if people get 20 referrals from a client over time, some right away, they know they're getting another client, another recruit from that. If they hire somebody and they can go and send 10 three-way text messages to qualified people that this person knows, that's a referral. And I train high in his market on 10 hot market leads that he texted and we set up appointments. We're getting business. And if I get a client and I get 5 to 10 referrals, I know it's so easy to talk about. It's very hard to implement because we get comfortable in a weird, stupid way. And I'm saying this to myself with this facial expression that I have right now. We almost like prospecting in colder markets. And it's just idiotic. It's the stupidest thing in the world. And like I said, I'm saying this to me. And so if you are like me, we got to make an adjustment. And it's got to be quick. It's got to be antidote to poison. You know, I remember when Mark trained me, my RVP, and Mark always made money. He made $200,000 a year with little or no team. I walked into his office. He did not recruit me. I walked in. And when I was done with training, I witnessed 19 training sales. Okay. There was no field training bonus. I didn't recoup any of that money. But you know what my trainer did? He taught me. It was like a trade-off. He taught me how to do the business, how to field train people, how to ask questions, how to sell. I learned every scenario out at that kitchen table at the time we'd go meet with people. But also, you know what he did? He gave me a folder of referrals. And, we saw a lot of those referrals because that's how I got 19 training sales. But there were probably 60 or 70 referrals in there for me to call. And I could recruit. I had a team and they had people to call because the internet was not so prevalent when I started. And, resume services were $500 a month, $1,000 a month. I remember monster.com was like literally $10,000 a year. So we were kind of forced to knock on doors or get referrals. And I didn't want to knock on doors. I did it. And I'm not telling you to do it. I want to be clear. I know there's a lot of new people here, okay? But we got to do a much better job. I mean, look, call your old clients, right? If you feel like you got a client in the last 6, 7, 8, 9 months, right? Which we did a lot. We had our best year last year in investments and life production. So that means we, as a hierarchy, we got the most clients we ever got. Call them back. Start talking to them and just say, hey, can you introduce me to somebody? Who do you know that's had a kid? Who do you know that's looking to move? Who do you know wants to look at, when you watch television, look at how many Geico commercials progress because everybody wants to save money on some sort of insurance. Because when the economy gets tight, like it is, like 150,000 people lost their job, people want to save money. They want to reduce their expenses. So call your old clients, get with your leadership team, your mastermind group, your core group, and vow we're going to work in a warm market. Okay. We're going to get referrals, recruit referrals. Obviously you can, I want people busy. If they want a cold prospect, that's fine too. I'm not saying that I won't do that. Of course I will, but it's stupid. And we got to be smarter, and one thing, the football games were on last weekend, and they, the Saints played the Bucks, right? And it was like this whole background story between Tom Brady and Drew Brees, 43 and 42 years old, I think, or something like that. Very, very old for NFL quarterbacks, right? And they did a segment in ESPN about players that played with both of them or coaches that coached both of them. And they interviewed them. And it was fascinating. I mean, because regardless of whatever you want to say, I'm not saying you like them or dislike them, whatever, they've had historied careers. Okay. I mean, unbelievable careers. I'm a huge Tom Brady fan. I recognize how great he is, but even if you didn't like him, that's fine too. You can still respect what he's done. And you know what every player that played with them said? Like, they gave two stories. They said Drew Brees, he goes, I was a coach, young coach. He goes, he was probably the same age as Drew Brees. He goes, and I would get to the office early, 6:15, 5:15. He goes, and if ever I saw Drew Brees in the parking lot, he'd walk up to me, he'd talk to me for a minute, and we start walking towards the building. And he goes, and about 15 seconds before the door, Drew Brees would speed up. And he goes, but he didn't hold the door for me. He always wanted to be the first one in the building. He goes, that's how competitive Drew Brees was. Another player that coached, I think I forgot the name, so I don't want to say it, but with Tom Brady, they said, the last day of practice before the season starts, we have a barbecue. So the practice was a light practice. This is practice. Donald, we're talking about practice, man. Not a game. Not the game. We're talking about practice. You guys don't understand that. Rod, you know what I'm talking about. Not a game. We're talking about practice, man. This is a practice, okay? And they lost. Brady's team, the offense lost. And then right after the practice, and they scrimmage or whatever it is, they go to the barbecue. Brady didn't go to the barbecue. He went to the far end of the field, started throwing his helmet and throwing stuff. And I think it was David Patton. David Patton was, what's going on? He's like, man, we can't lose. We can't lose. He goes, I've never seen anybody as competitive as Tom Brady. He goes, Tom Brady was so competitive in football practice. He goes, against the starters, Brady would run the offense, the first team, the second team, and the third team, and beat the defense. Now, why do I bring this up? Tomorrow, our recognition. Why do you think we do a recognition every week? The most important, our Top Gun. If you did 1,000 a week, you do 50,000 a year of personal premium. You did 2,000 a week, you do 100,000 of personal premium. You'd basically do 10 grand on your own. You're not on the board for a week. You didn't hit the board. It's got to mean something to you. You to do it. If you have a team, great, awesome, that's fantastic. But you got to hit the board every week. You got to have referrals to call. It's got to mean something to you. You got to make money every week. Your attendance, listen, man. We got the same 3-4 people winning it every week. And until you want to compete, and a lot of times when you stop competing, you're kind of dead, right? It's the same It's the same number. Go compete. Have fun. You don't got to throw your helmet, but it's got to matter. I always tell people part of what you earn is pride, man. All I wanted to do was to see my name called, man. All I wanted to do was be on the leader sheet. That's all I cared about. Call it shallow, that was me. I didn't like any bulletin if I wasn't number one on it. So go compete. Have fun. If you do better, right? You know, my son, he plays video games. My daughter, she's all, you know, the school does a great job. They do like these little quizzes and they use the Kahoot app. My daughter's always coming in. I was number one. I was number one. And she goes, oh yeah, before the questions, I was number 5. I was number 1. You know, my son, he plays all these video games. Oh, I got 3rd out of 100. It matters, man. It does. People care about this stuff. You don't want to just go and not. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't have to be negative or unhealthy where, you know, you're going to go and slash Jen Lee's tire. She doesn't have a car, so it doesn't matter. But you know, you know, I don't want you to get negative about it, okay? But you know, compete. This is fun. It's fun. I'm serious. It's fun. It's a competition. You don't get that at your job. They just want to kind of numb you to sleep and sedate you, so you just go through the motion. Here you can grow, you can compete, you can win, and competitive people get a lot of things done, man. That's what those people were telling about too, Drew Brees and Tom Brady, wanting to be the first one in the building. Does it matter? Does it really matter if someone's 5 seconds? Yeah, it does. To him, it did. Yeah, think about that. So, anyways. We got training tomorrow, 9:30. Make sure you get on, get your teammates on. We'll recognize our top gun, and then we'll be doing top turnout, and then we'll set appointments at 11 o'clock. You know the passwords. The password's only for the appointments. Actually, I probably won't even put one up there from now on, just because I don't need one. But have your referrals ready to go. Make calls, set up your week, and we'll strap it up. See you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you guys.